So first of all, let's see what is breathing and respiration. Respiration. Okay. So breathing means nothing but the exchange of oxygen from atmosphere with CO2 produced from cells. Means simply it is nothing but the intake of fresh air and giving out of the air which is not required. Whereas respiration means what? Respiration means a second, my pen. Yeah. So respiration means what? It is the oxidation. Oxidation of food to form CO2, H2O, and ATP. That is energy. Okay, so this is the simple difference between breathing and respiration. Okay, so breathing is generally considered as a physical process, whereas respiration, because their oxidation is taking place, so hence it's considered as what? Biochemical process. Okay, so breathing actually doesn't require more, what do you say, energy, this one. So here, whatever energy is there, it's not released. So no energy is released while breathing. Whereas during the respiration, the energy is released. Because in the first statement itself, it's there, oxidation of the food to form carbon dioxide, water, and ATP. That is, ATP is nothing but energy. Okay, so whatever breathing is there, it's an extracellular process. Okay, out of the cell process. So extracellular. Whereas respiration will be intracellular process. Okay, so depending upon the organism, different types of respiratory organs are there, which helps in the respiration or the breathing. Okay, so every organism is having a different mechanism for breathing, depending upon where it lives or what is its body structure and all those stuff. So let's see what are the respiratory organs of some organisms. Okay, so respiratory organs. Okay, so as I told you, depending upon the habitat, the body structure, whatever the mechanism of breathing or respiration is there, it differs. So the first one is the general body surfaces. Okay, general body surfaces in the sense what? For example, if you take sponges, or we can take flatworms. Okay, these organisms, their entire body surface is capable of breathing or respiration. That's why whatever the organ is there, that is general body surface or the entire body surface, you can say. In the same way, skin or moist cuticle. Okay, so here most probably earthworms, even our skin respires, right? So amphibians. These are the examples of what? Skin or moist cuticle. So next one is what? You can take gills. Okay, so gills means for fishes, okay, aquatic animals mostly, tadpoles. Okay, so if an organism is respiring through gills, that type of respiration is called as branchial respiration. Whereas if a respiration is through lungs, okay, for example, in vertebrates, the type of respiration is pulmonary respiration. In the same way, if we take insects, okay, or any type of insect, spider, okay, anything. So there the respiratory organ is what? Tracheal tubes. Tracheal tubes. This is in case of insects. Okay, so these are what? General respiratory organs depending upon the body structure and habitat for the different organisms. So now we are going to see is the entire respiratory system. Okay, how a human respiratory system looks like. Okay, so human respiratory system. So because the humans are large, obviously their respiratory system also will be a little complicated as well organized, right? So a human respiratory system, it consists of certain things such as pair of nostrils, okay, that is external nostrils, one, and then from there it goes to the nasal passage, then the nasal cavity, which is again internally to the nose, then pharynx, then glottis, then the larynx, that is a sound box, then the trachea, which is a tube-like structure, which is very important for breathing purpose or for the, what do you say, survival thing. Then from the trachea, it is going to enter into the primary bronchi, then secondary bronchi, then tertiary, then to the terminal bronchioles and alveoli. Okay, so this is the entire organs, okay, which comprises of what? The human respiratory system. Okay, so these things are called as the air passages. Okay, so basically a human respiratory system comprises of what? A air passage, which is also known as the air tract, and lungs. This two forms what? A human respiratory system. So whatever I have written over here, this all are a part of what? Air passage, which is also called as conducting part. Why it's called as conducting part? Because it transports whatever the atmospheric air is there into the last thing, which is called as the alveoli. But apart from conducting the atmospheric air, what it also does is it clears whatever the foreign particles are there, or whatever air you intake, it is humidified. Okay, so whatever the air is there, it is like similar, it is matching to the body temperature. So all this stuff is being carried out through this conducting parts, which I have written over here. Okay, so if you see a lungs general part, okay, in that it's like a tree branch. Okay, so it will be having like this branches, that is bronchioles, bronchi, and small like this structures will be there. This is the alveoli. Okay, so each bronchiole, if you take over here, each bronchiole will be having one alveoli in the lungs. Okay, so from there, like as I told you, from the nostrils, which is your two openings, okay, then the nasal passage cavity, which is the internal part of the nose, then it goes to what? Pharynx, glottis, and larynx. Now over here, whatever the larynx is there. Now what is larynx? Larynx is nothing but the sound box or the voice box. Voice or sound box. So Because of this organ only, we can speak, or when we speak, the sound has been produced. Okay, then next one is the glottis, or you can say epiglottis. Okay, so this is mainly when you swallow. Okay, so what happens is when you swallow the food, the main thing which you see inside your throat, that is nothing but the epiglottis. Okay, whereas on the side, you're having one thing which is called as a glottis. Okay, so epiglottis, this is useful during the swallowing of food. Okay, whereas glottis, which is there, it prevents the food and from being entered into your larynx or the food pipe or the windpipe, you can say, not food pipe, windpipe. Okay, so prevents food from entering windpipe. Okay, then as I told you, next part is what? Trachea. Okay, so whatever the trachea, bronchi, all the stuffs are there, they are nothing but the cartilaginous ring. Like this it will be. Okay, this is the cartilaginous ring. So it is very important to prevent these rings from collapsing, because if there is no air, what will happen to this? It will collapse. And if it collapses, then the person dies. Okay, so this is a very important part of the air passage. Okay, so this is all about what? The air passage and its organs. Second one, as I told you, it is the lungs. Okay, so lungs is an organ which is situated in thoracic chamber. And on this thoracic chamber, you have something which is called as diaphragm. So whatever your lungs is there, generally the chamber is called as a thoracic chamber, and it rests on something which is called as diaphragm. Okay, so whatever you have two lungs, okay, right and left. So whatever the right lung is there, it is having three lobes. Okay, whereas the left one has two lobes. Plus the lungs are being double layered. Okay, so lungs are double layered. So double protection is given, and that particular thing is only called as what? Pleura. Okay, so double layer means what? Pleura is common, okay, for both the layers. So double layer means one you will be having outer layer and another one will be inner layer. So outer layer is called as outer parietal pleura, whereas the inner one will be called as inner visceral pleura. And between these two layers, there will be some kind of fluid present, and that fluid is named as what? Pleural fluid. Now, what is the role of this pleural fluid? Now, any fluid, if you take the main, what do you say, function of it is what? Lubrication. Correct? So, over here also, to avoid the friction between the membranes of the lungs, this pleural fluid is present. So, what is the function of this? It prevents friction, plus it lubricates. Okay, so if I take lungs, in lungs, what all will be present? Lungs will be equal to the bronchi plus the bronchioles plus the alveoli. And whatever the respiratory duct is there, or the structural and functional unit of lungs which is there, that is nothing but the alveoli. Okay, so what are alveoli? The structural and functional unit of lungs. Okay, because this is the main part where the respiration or the exchange part which is there, that is going to take place. So when you say that a person has been respiring, there are certain steps, okay, which is involved in respiration. So what are the steps of respiration? first step during respiration is what? Breathing, which is also called as pulmonary ventilation. Then once you breathe, what is going to happen? Whatever gas is there, O2, that is going to go inside. So what will be the second step? Gas exchange. And where does this gas exchange take place? Between lung, alveoli, and blood. Then once this exchange is finished, third, what it does is it transports the gases. So gas transport. Which type of gas? O2 and CO2. Okay, then fourth one will be again exchange of gases. Now this time whatever the gases exchanges there, it will take place between the blood and tissues. And final step is what? Cellular or tissue respiration. So these are the 5 steps involved in what? The respiration. So these were what? The 5 steps. Now, how does this actually takes place? That is this mechanism of breathing. What is it? Okay, so if I take a mechanism of breathing, it involves 2 things. Okay, that is inspiration and expiration. Okay, inspiration and expiration. In the name itself, it's there. Inspiration means intake of air and expiration means giving out of the air. So first, let's see the inspiration or inspiration. Okay, so inspiration means what? It's the active intake of air. From where? From the atmosphere into lungs. Now, whenever you inspire or expire, okay, now lungs, thoracic cavity, the rib cage, or whatever your diaphragm is there also some movements will be taking place. Okay, so let's see in case of inspiration how it takes place. So the first one is whenever you take in the air, first what happens is the diaphragm contracts. Contracts in the sense it will flatten. So when the diaphragm contracts, what is going to happen is whatever your thoracic chamber is there, in that more amount of air will fit when it is flattening. So because of this, what will happen is it is going to cause an increase in vertical thoracic volume. Okay, next what happens is contraction of the external intercostal muscles. Now, what is this intercostal muscles? Intercostal muscles is nothing but between the ribs, whatever muscles are present, those muscles are termed as intercostal muscles. So this is found between the ribs. So whatever your muscles between the ribs are there, they are going to contract. They're going to contract means what? They will lift up. Okay, so they will lift up the ribs and sternum. Now sternum means the middle part, okay, which is joining that to rib sides of right and left. Okay, so it will just lift up the ribs and the sternum. So again, because of that, what is going to happen? Whatever your thoracic volume intake of air is there, that is again going to increase due to this step. Okay, so here also it will cause increase in thoracic volume. Thoracic volume. So what happens is whenever there is this, what do you say, increase in this thoracic volume, whatever the pressure on the thoracic chamber is there, that reduces. Okay, so as a result, what is going to happen is your lungs will expand. Okay, so here what happens is increase in thoracic volume, reduce thoracic pressure. Thoracic pressure. So what happens because of this? The lungs expand. Okay, as a result, what is going to happen is inside the thoracic chamber, the volume of your air will increase. Okay, plus it is said as pulmonary volume. Pulmonary volume. So this pulmonary volume is going to increase. And when this increases, there will be what? There will be decrease in or decrease of intrapulmonary pressure. Pulmonary pressure. So whatever your atmospheric pressure is there, it will become less. Whatever air you have intaken, okay, and whatever is present in your thoracic cavity right now when you're inhaling, that will be what? Less than that of the atmospheric pressure. So as a result, what is going to happen? The air is going to move into your lungs. Okay, this is what inspiration or inspiration. So now the opposite, exact opposite of the inspiration is nothing but the expiration. Okay, so here what is going to happen is, I'll just write it down. Here what will happen is, there it was passive intake or active, active intake of the air. Whereas over here it will be what? The passive expel of the air from the lungs. So here everything you have to write is the opposite. Means whatever the intercostal muscles or diaphragm, they all will relax. So when it will relax, what is going to happen? Instead of increase in thoracic volume, there will be a decrease in thoracic volume. Thoracic volume. Okay, so because of that, whatever the ribs or sternum, whatever things are there, it will return back to its original position. Okay, so this is how the expellation of the air takes place. But what happens is whenever you are forcefully expiring the air, at that time, whatever your abdominal muscles as well as your rib muscles which are there, it is going to contract. This happens only when you are forcefully expiring the air. Okay, at that time. So rest, whatever things are there, they are just the opposite of the inspiration. Okay, so each and every lungs or the thoracic cavity, everything is having a particular capacity to hold the air. Okay, so there are certain related terms to this. So let's see what are the terms. Okay, so as I told you, there is something which is called as respiratory volumes or capacity. Okay, so what is this respiratory volume and capacity? Now, depending upon when you inspire or expire or respire, whatever process is there, certain amount of volume, certain volume of the air is taken in, it is kept inside your, lungs. Some are given out. Okay, some remains when you are exhaling. So many things takes place because everyone has a different capacity. So depending upon that, there are certain terms related to it. So the first one which is there is called as what? Tidal volume or TV. So what is this tidal volume or TV? Okay, so tidal volume means nothing but the volume of air inspired or expired during normal respiration. Okay, so about the whatever the volume is there, it's about 500 ml. Okay, so if you calculate this in terms of minute, okay, so per minute, it will be 6,000 to 8,000 ml per minute. Okay, so tidal volume means during the respiration, whatever the volume you have taken in and given out, that particular volume is called as tidal volume. Second one is the IRV, or it's also called as inspiratory reserve volume. Now, in the name itself, it's there. Inspiratory reserve means what? Whatever additional volume of the air, okay, that you have inspired, okay, that is called as what? The inspiratory reserve volume. Okay, so the additional volume of air that can inspire by forceful inspiration. Okay, normally when you breathe, a fixed volume will be there, whatever you intake and give out. But forcefully, when you're inspiring or expiring, what happens is that that energy or the volume level, it is going to increase. Okay, so that is about approximately 2,500 to 3,000 ml. In the same way, you have also the expiratory thing, okay, that which is called as ERV. So here also the same thing, except means instead of the additional volume of the air that you can inspire, you have to write the expire. By what? The forceful expiration. So over here, whatever the volume which is forcefully expired is 1,000 to 1,100 ml. Okay, then you have RV, which is nothing but the residual volume. Residual. So residual volume means what? Whenever you forcefully exhale, okay, still some amount of air will be remained in your lungs. So that is only called as what? Residual volume. So the volume of air remaining in lungs after forceful expiration. Okay, so the amount is how much? 1,100 to 1,200. Fifth one is the IC and EC. Okay, I means inspiratory capacity and E is for expiratory capacity. Okay, so what is this inspiratory capacity and expiratory? Inspiratory and expiratory capacity. Okay, so whatever the IC is there, it is nothing but the total volume of the air that you have intaken after a normal exhalation is called as what? Inspiratory capacity. Okay, means normally when you're sitting, you breathe in, right? So when you breathe in, whatever total amount of air you're going to take in, okay, after that particular normal exhalation, that is called as inspiratory capacity. Means the total volume of air inspired after a normal expiration. Okay, the capacity is 3,000 to 3,500 ml and it has a formula. Okay, that is IC. If you want to calculate, it is TV plus IRV. Okay, so you already know what is TV. TV is the tidal volume and IRV because it's a IC, that is inspiratory capacity. So inspiratory reserve volume you have to calculate. Okay, so whatever you're going to get is an inspiratory capacity. In the same way for the EC, okay, EC will be what? The total volume of air expired after normal inspiration. So it is about 1500 to 1600 ml. So the formula is EC is equal to TV plus, instead of IRV, you have to write ERV. Okay, then in the same way, you have the other term which is called as FRC. Now this terms and the formula is important over here. So FRC means functional residual capacity. Functional residual capacity. So functional residual capacity means what? After a normal exhalation, means when you give out the air after a normal exhalation, whatever volume of air is remaining in your lungs is called as functional residual capacity. Okay, which is nothing but FRC is equal to ERV ERV plus RV. Okay, then like the functional residual capacity, you have vital capacity, that is VC. Okay, now VC means what? See, sometimes you forcefully take in the air and forcefully give out the air, like during the exercises and all those stuff, right? So at that time, okay, how much amount of the air or volume of the air you can breathe in and breathe out forcefully? That is called as what? Vital capacity. So hence, the vital capacity will be equal to the ERV plus the tidal volume plus IR. Okay, vital capacity means what? Only when you forcefully inspire or expire, how much amount of the air you can breathe in or breathe out. That is called as what? Vital capacity. And the last one is what? Total lung capacity. Total lung capacity. So total lung capacity will comprise of everything, or whatever terms we have seen till now, all those things will come in the formula. So total volume means what? Or total lung capacity means what? The total volume, okay, of the air which is present in your lungs after your maximum inspiration, means maximum type of how much you can give out, you take in the air. At that time, how much amount of air is present, it's called as TLC, or the total lung capacity. So that will be equal to the all the terms which we have seen, that is RV plus ERV plus TV plus IRV. Or you can also take it as how? RV plus VC, because vital capacity comprises of all those three. So RV plus VC also you can take it. So almost whatever a person's total lung capacity is there, it's almost 5,000 to 6,000 ml. Okay, so in this entire respiratory tract, that is when you consider it from your nostrils to the bronchi, sometimes what happens, certain things are not involved in the gases exchange. So those type of space is called as what? Dead space. Dead space is nothing but some parts of your respiratory tract, they are not involved in this process of gaseous exchange. So then it's called as what? The dead space. So if you take the dead air volume overall, okay, whatever the dead air volume is there, that is almost 150 ml. Okay, plus whatever respiration cycle is there, okay, means one time breathe in and breathe out, that is the respiration cycle. Okay, so one inspiration plus one expiration. Okay, that is called as what? Respiratory cycle. So whatever your normal breathing is there, or the normal breathing rate which is there, that is almost 12 to 16 times per minute. So per minute, 12 to 16 times you breathe in and breathe out. And if you want to measure this respiratory rate, then there is an instrument to measure this, which is called as spirometer. So spirometer is an instrument which measures respiratory rate.